you're saying Cam Newton's going to be the best quarterback in the NFL this year?
No, oh my God, no, I'm not saying that. Okay,
That's
I'm saying
kind
that.
of what you're saying.
Stop. I'm saying that his ceiling. I'm saying that his ceiling is high. I'm not saying he's going to be the best quarterback in the NFL. Last week I said top 10. I did not say he would be an MVP. I said he might be able to return close to his MVP form.
Right.
Okay.
And we should probably start this show, huh?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the
Hi.
Coe Show. My name is Mason Coe. I'm here with my co-host, Aaron Coe. And, I mean, Cam Newton, potentially league MVP next year? No. Okay, no.
You're not supposed to start day drinking until you're 21, okay?
Okay, whatever. It's day after Cinco de Mayo, May 6th, I think, is it the 7th? Today's the 7th.
I don't know.
It's
I don't
May
even know
7th.
what day of the week it is right now.
Okay, yeah. Time is an illusion right now. Really nothing going on in the sports world, but we're still trying to come up with some content.
There's lots going on. Lots to talk about.
I guess let's shout out our businesses before we forget once again. First one, Mill Creek Sports Shop. They have awesome paraphernalia and autographs, that kind of stuff, jerseys, helmets. I got him a Jay Buhner signed ball for like $20 there a few years back. So yeah, they have good prices, good people. I haven't actually been there in a bit, but I want to go check them out again because they have some really dope stuff.
Local owners too.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, people that were involved in baseball and things like that locally, so it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And then the other one...
Yukawa Teriyaki.
Yeah, our favorite.
Yeah, it's located... where is that?
Right next to Garlic Gyms.
Yeah, so it's in the Mill Creek, just right on the border of Mill Creek, just off of Seattle Hill Road there. But yeah, they've been, it's a little mom and pop shop. I've watched the kid grow up, from being a little kid to he's probably in his 20s now or something. Yeah. But no, they just have really good food. And yeah, they're still open. When we had stuff there the other day, it's really good as far, it's your typical teriyaki place, but they're just, I don't know, I feel like it's really high quality. And again, just another local business that is trying to get through this time. So
for sure. Yeah. Both good places. Go ahead and check them out. And, if either of these places want to sponsor us, then hit us up. Go ahead. By the way, none of these shout outs, I guess we should preface this, but none of the shout outs that we give are sponsored. We will hopefully get a sponsor someday, but we'll let you know when that happens. These are just places we like.
These are places we like. And yeah, we'll talk about places we don't like if you want to pay us. That's fine.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But we'd especially like places that we actually like.
Yeah. Okay, I guess let's jump into the news. Rest in peace, Don Shula, legendary head coach, one of the greatest of all time. I don't know much about him. I didn't ever see him coach, but I've heard obviously great things. Yeah,
so he coached into the mid 90s, and Jimmy Johnson took over for him.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, he was, I haven't heard anything negative about him.
I haven't either.
The only negative thing I've heard anybody say is, well, he didn't win a Super Bowl with Dan Marino.
Yeah, I mean,
but only undefeated season in NFL history. Teams have gotten close, but have choked at some point. But it sounds like he was just a great man more than anything. And I know his players, I've never heard any player say negative stuff about him.
Me neither.
Just a very classy human being. If you look at him on the sideline, he just looks like a an old school NFL coach.
Yeah, I didn't want to come out and say, he was such a great guy or anything, because I don't know him, but I have never heard one negative thing about him, which kind of says a lot. So,
and if you watch Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, the scene where he's where his hand is stuck in the mailbox because he's getting his ring pulled off, that's beautiful. Shout out to Robert Minagishi, who's a big Dolphins fan. I know that's one of his favorite cinematic moments of all time. But no, it's just a great dude, a winner. Even though he didn't win a Super Bowl with Marino, I should look this up, but he pretty much had a winning season every year. I mean, they were in the playoffs year after year after year after year, for for decades with the Colts and then with the Dolphins. So just yeah, great football coach. 90 years old, so he had a pretty good run there. But
Shula only had 2 losing seasons out of 33.
yeah, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That someone could accomplish that. So yeah, good run. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Mr. Don Shula. T's and P's to the family, obviously. Next up, Mike Tyson potential comeback. So he was on Shaq's show. I have no clue how serious this was. I didn't even watch the clip, so I shouldn't really be talking about it, honestly. But apparently he was teasing a comeback, and then there were some videos of him, I think at a winery from last year, like giving some guys some advice, and he looked quick as lightning still. I never watched him fight, so I can't really say anything. He's 53, and he's been obviously resting for a while. Seems like he's still in really good shape. And I know in the past he has expressed kind of an itch for fighting again. I mean, would you like to see this happen? Do you want this to happen, or is it just going to be sad?
So a couple of things. So first of all, when that clip that you referenced from a year ago or whatever, it reminded me of, I forget which shitty Star Wars movie it was, but the one where Yoda like puts the cane down, and like goes ape shit with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. It looked that like, whoa,
yeah,
like where did that come from? I didn't know he had that kind of movement. Still, It was ridiculous. It looked ridiculous. It looked fake. It wasn't.
It looked like it was sped up.
Yeah. A couple things with this. So first of all, yeah, it'd be kind of fun to see it, but it'd probably be kind of sad. I can't imagine that it would go very well, even though he looks good in that format, or that we saw. I also, I heard a podcast with him with I think it was Joe Rogan.
Yeah, he was on the Rogan
a while back. And he was talking about how he's a different human being when he's in workout mode and fight mode, and he doesn't like that person.
Yeah, he doesn't want to tap back into that.
So I'm like, Mike, do you really want to do that? I mean, I guess if somebody's offering him a huge bag, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd hate to see him. It seems like he's been at peace with himself for a while, stayed out of trouble for a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I'd hate to see him lose that. Potentially get his ass kicked too. So.
Yeah, I know. It has potential to turn out really ugly. That's the thing. But if he goes out and knocks someone out, I mean, that would just be awesome.
Yeah.
I never really watched him fight, like I said, but obviously one of the GOATs, and someone that I would love to see fight personally. But again, it could turn out really ugly. It also depends on like who's it going to be against. I feel like
it'd have to be a big name, otherwise nobody's going to pay for it.
Yeah, it would definitely have to be a big name. And then do you have him fight someone that's like 27, 20, like, or do you have him fight, I don't know, Shannon the Cannon Briggs or something, like have him come out of retirement too? Like, I don't know. I don't know really what the matchup would be, but it would be pretty awesome to see that. And I don't know, I mean, Mike Tyson could just be talking crazy on Shaq's podcast.
He might be, and he might just be trying to get attention for some businesses that he's got going.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Also, I don't know what, I guess, takes them longest to get back into as far as boxing training, but I feel like his stamina would probably be the worst out of, I mean, he might still have that quickness and that power if he lifts, but I feel like the stamina would be really hard to regain, especially who knows how long of a notice, who knows how long of a training period he'll have. Anyway, speaking of fighting, UFC is having a card on May 9th, which is in 2 days. I've heard the card top to bottom is one of the deepest cards of all time. It was supposed to be Ferguson versus Khabib, which has fallen through like 3 times already, and people are super hyped to see. But unfortunately, Khabib is stuck in Russia right now, I believe. So Ferguson's fighting someone else. I'm super hyped. I very recently became a big UFC fan. I don't really know any of the fighters yet. don't know about the technicalities of fighting. I don't know all the styles and stuff at all. I just like seeing dudes pound each other's faces in. It's pretty fun to watch. So I'm really, really excited to illegally stream that event. Dana White, don't come after me.
He definitely watches our podcast.
Yeah, he's one of the 5 people. Yeah, so I'm really excited for that. I don't know. I mean, I don't.
I haven't gotten into it, but hell, I was about ready to watch Korean baseball the other day because it came on. Like I'm ready for just about any sporting event right now. So yeah, I may well watch that just to see something new and live. I think it'd be fun. So that's pretty cool that they're doing that.
For sure. And then as far as other sports returning goes, MLB, apparently the Reds players were told that the start of the season is expected to be July 1st, and there's going to be spring training period through June. Who knows how true that is, but that rumor has been flying around the internet for the past day or two, and it seems to have some legitimacy. At least the spring training part. Who knows how things can change. Obviously, even if you look at the news cycle week by week, things have been changing so fast. So who really knows? So potential MLB in July, which would be
I
sick.
think that's great. There's a meme floating around last week or so. The Mariners fans, they've had 6 feet apart in the stands. They've been social distancing for 40 years, so no issue there. But yeah, I think it's time to get that going. Are they going to play with fans? Are they not? To me, get some games going, get your TV going. Fans, let's figure that out later. We don't know where that's going to be in July. But if you could at least plan on having some games wherever it is, if it's in spring training complexes, fine. Why not get some TV money out of the deal? People are going to watch it, probably more than ever. So yeah.
Don't they make more money off the TV deal anyway than they do tickets?
It depends on the sport. Some do, some don't. For some it makes sense, for some it doesn't. But I would think at least for the short, I don't think you could play a whole season that way and turn a profit. But if you could, do it that way for a month, you got spring training in June, then you play for a few weeks with no fans, and then you do find a way to say, hey, we're only letting 10,000 fans in. I don't know how you regulate all that.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
But I think it's time to get creative and start thinking of ways to slowly get us back into some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as having the players together, there's enough testing going on now that shouldn't be an issue. Like they can test the players.
Yeah.
And that should be fine. It's the fans that become the issue. So, but I say play the games and figure out the fan thing when you get there.
Definitely. There was a poll or a headline about a poll that said, I think it was MLB, if it was MLB or NBA fans, I can't remember which, voted that they would like to see sports return even without fans. Like basically don't wait for us. And it's like, yeah, definitely don't wait until the fans can return. Please, let's get some sports going. I think it would help us all a lot, obviously, right now, looking for entertainment. And apparently NBA training facilities are to open tomorrow. And we were talking about last week how that could be an issue of competitive balance. And specifically, I said a team like the Lakers, and I guess the Clippers would obviously be involved in there too. Those two teams probably wouldn't be able to open up at the same time just because it's such a big city and it can be a hot spot. I don't know. Again, I don't know what's going on in each city as far as what their numbers look like and what their restrictions are. But apparently the Lakers are hopeful that they'll be able to start getting their training facilities open on the 16th, which is only 8 days after tomorrow. So that wouldn't be a competitive balance issue, it sounds like. Also, the only concern is, though, teams are being told to not test asymptomatic players. So it just seems like, I don't understand how you can open the facilities.
I'd say test them all.
Yeah, I know people are going to be like, oh, well, why aren't these tests going to blah, blah, blah. Man, it's just how the world works, kind of. Like,
Yeah.
it just is. Like,
Yeah,
they got
that's
money.
not the only way you're getting screwed, people. I hate to tell you.
Yeah, there's, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know Joe Rogan got a lot of heat for being able to test himself and his guest every single day for the podcast, but it's because tests are very readily available in LA, and he didn't go through any special protocol to get them. It's just they're more available in certain areas than others. But I don't see how you can open facilities and allow players to be together and to be with staff and everyone else when you can't test the asymptomatic ones, because as we know, you can be asymptomatic.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I could have had it already. We could have all had it already. Who knows? It seems, I don't know, it seems like there are some holes they got to fill there. Then apparently NFL training facilities might open the 15th. Same thing. I don't know what their testing situation looks like, but it's pretty much the same story.
And part of the issue with football is there's just a lot more people involved. You know, I mean, basketball, you have 12 to 15 players. Football, you've got, for training camp, I think you start out with like 80 players. And then eventually gets pared down to, I forget the exact number, 50-ish.
There's more coaches, more trainers, just more of everything.
So that seems harder, but yeah, I'd say at least, again, figure out a way to get things going without fans. Tests, I know that they're discouraged. They just don't want, when they talk about the tests, they don't want every jackass going to the clinic and trying to get a test.
Yeah.
That's why they're discouraging it. So it's not that you can't get a test. They just don't want, because right now, if you said, oh yeah, you can get a test, then there'd be a goddamn 10-mile lineup outside every doctor's office in the country. That's the deal. It's not that the tests aren't available. It's the manpower situation. How do you get them out?
Yeah, how do you distribute them? And it seems like the NBA and the NFL would be able to put something together to do this. And this is something I don't want to like really get into because, but there's an argument to be made that the NBA and the NFL should have some priority with tests just because they're providing, I guess, some level of help to us through this time. Not everyone's a sports fan, but I think the argument could definitely be made that because of the entertainment they're providing us, it might be important to get them tests. And like I said, it's not like they're taking tests away from nurses or whatever. Anyway. Stuff we don't know enough about to talk about.
Yeah,
that'll end that.
Fuck the coronavirus. Move on.
Fuck. Okay. Frank Gore to the Jets because he has a lot of respect for Adam Gase.
Huh. That's
what he said. He said that's the reason he joined the Jets.
Did he have a lot of respect for him because that's the one guy that would offer him?
Yeah. So he's been on an Adam Gase team in the past. He's worked with him in the past. By all accounts, Adam Gase seems like the biggest douchebag in the NFL. So I don't know where that's coming from. Obviously, Frank Gore would know him better than us, but he really does seem like a big old douchebag. Why would Frank Gore go to a team that has no chance of winning a Super Bowl? I don't know. Why do the Jets even want Frank Gore? It just seems kind of weird to me all around. Jets don't seem like they really need a guy like Frank Gore right now. They have Le'Veon Bell, who is or isn't good, however you want to look at it. But I don't know. It just seems like they're not in need of like a veteran running back that can just eat some carries. I don't know. They're not a championship team, so this seems really weird to me. But I guess Frank Gore, respect to him, he can do whatever he wants at this point. He's no G.
Adam Gase was supposed to fix Ryan Tannehill, right? He was brought in.
Yeah.
The quarterback guru does nothing with Tanny, and then Tannehill goes to the Titans, where a former defensive lineman is the head coach, and he flourishes there. So I don't know how Gase got his reputation as this.
He works with Peyton
guru.
Manning.
Well, okay.
That's what that's. I mean, that's just like I agree. That
Yeah.
shouldn't be why, but Peyton Manning has blessed many people with jobs because of his greatness.
Right. Yeah.
I think Adam Gase was the quarterback coach in Indianapolis, and that's where obviously him and Frank Gore probably worked together.
Right.
And that's I'm pretty sure what got him the job in Miami. I might be wrong there, but you work with a guy like Peyton Manning, and he is able to elevate people to a point where they get jobs and they create this reputation for themselves that they probably don't deserve, because at this point, Adam Gase hasn't had a successful season probably since he worked with Peyton Manning.
It's funny. If you look at Tom Brady's ex-offensive coordinators,
the coaching tree that comes from
they
him.
all fail when they move on. They've all been a disaster because you know why? They don't have Tom Brady anymore when they leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I wonder if that was considered. I wonder if Josh McDaniels was scared. Like it seemed weird that he hasn't taken a head coaching job yet. I wonder if he's just kind of scared. I don't know. Also, the Jags are not going to trade Fournette. We talked last week about how he was put on the trading block a day after expressing his interest in Cam Newton coming on to the team. So it's I don't know. It's obviously a very interesting operation down there in Jacksonville. They have made very questionable moves. You got Boye out of there. You got Ngakoue probably out of there. You got Jalen Ramsey out of there. If you look at that defense from the 2017 season, if you just look at all the names, I mean, that defense was absolutely ridiculous. They weren't able to hold it together because the organization is terrible. And now they are taking a running back off the trading block that they just put on. So was this just kind of a put your balls on the table move by the Jags, where they're like, hey, you don't talk about our quarterback like that? Or are they just changing their mind?
But they also, they declined his 5th-year option. So this is his 4th year now. So there are a whole bunch of first-round picks that have their, you can either, prior to their 4th season, you can exercise or decline their 5th-year option. Mm-hmm. For example, the Seahawks did that last year with what's the fucking right tackle that left that jumps off sides all the time?
Oh, Carpenter?
Or false starts all the time. No, that you're thinking of an older shitty right tackle.
Ifedi.
Ifedi, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Seahawks declined his 5th year prior to last season. That's why he's gone now. Mm. So same thing happened this year. So Fournette is one of the guys that did not have his 5th-year option picked up.
Yeah.
So they don't pick up his option, but then they say they're not trading him. They're not going anywhere this year. They probably just aren't getting any offers that they think are worth it.
Yeah.
So they're just gonna ride the horse for one more year and let him walk, I guess is their plan.
That defense had 1, 2, 3, 4. That starting defense had 6 Pro Bowlers, and 1 first-team All-Pro in Calais Campbell, and they couldn't hold it together. It's just nuts to me. That organization is such a garbage fire. I mean, it's pretty insane how you can have such a talented roster and then piss it all away, and then they have not only not improved, but it seems like they're stuck in this shitty limbo of probably winning too many games to get a super nice pick. Like, I don't know. Are they keeping Minshew to try to tank for Trevor Lawrence? I don't know. It seems like they don't even know what they're doing.
He's the best quarterback of all time. What are you talking about?
He will never win a Super Bowl as a starter. Just keep that in mind, y'all.
He might get a ring as a backup.
I could definitely see that. Yeah. Anyway, Myles Garrett re-signed to apparently up to $25 million a year. That is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Especially considering, I guess we'll tie this in with another piece of news. The cap might go down $30 to $80 million next year. So it seems like every contract will have to be renegotiated if that happens. Yeah. But if you're giving Myles Garrett $25 million a year, that's taking up like a quarter of your cap space or something. I mean, it seems...
Yeah, they may... Well, I imagine what they would do is have a small base for this upcoming year and spread out a bonus. That's usually what they do. So But yeah, that's a big commitment for sure. But that is a position. It's probably number two behind quarterback of positions that are hardest to find, dominant players at. So, yeah, interesting move. That I don't know, that they feel like an organization that is going to have promise every year but not deliver.
Yeah,
They were
definitely.
the hot pick last year and they totally fell apart. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
They had
But
Freddie Kitchens at their head coaching spot though, so I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, I obviously Miles Garrett is very dominant. He's a very good player. Paying him 25 mil a year is quite a bit of money, especially considering there is always the chance he takes a guy's helmet off and hits him on the head with it again. If that happens again, I don't know if they can really keep him around, but it seems like he actually is a good guy from what I've heard. Anyway, speaking of also this cap situation potentially changing contracts, since the Cowboys have signed Andy Dalton to a $3 million guaranteed $7 million contract, that brings Dak's situation into question. Now, Dalton is making backup quarterback money, but Dak obviously still has not signed the franchise tag. And seeing that the cap might go down 30 to 80 million, should he sign that franchise tag as fast as possible, knowing he might only be able to get 25 mil next year if this cap goes down a bunch?
Yeah, if I'm a free agent right now, a big money free agent, I'm doing a 1 year deal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a gamble there. You could get a serious injury and lose out, but I would try to get a decent number for this year and then just write off this whole year,
Yeah.
2020, and just flush it down the toilet like everybody else is, and then hopefully next year you can get a big contract.
Here's the thing, he's still making like 31 mil or something on that franchise tag, and I don't know at all how the contract situation works with that, but it feels like it would be harder for the Cowboys to renegotiate a franchise tag deal than if they were to sign him to maybe a big extension. It would be easier for them to say, well, look, our cap space just went down, 50% or 25% or whatever. So we're going to have to renegotiate with you. He ends up making less than the franchise tag. It seems like taking this franchise tag is not only a safe bet now, but maybe even stands to make more money that way.
Right.
And then, yeah, speaking of Dalton, he already lived in Dallas, and I guess he doesn't even have to move now. His address, his home address, was always in Dallas, so it seems like a good situation for him. Also, joining up with Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, I don't know. It just seems like a good move for Dalton. What do you think about it for the Cowboys, though?
I was a little bit surprised by it. I mean, maybe it's kind of insurance in case the Dak thing really goes south. I mean, they have a guy. I mean, he's not great, but he has gotten them to the playoffs at least. Which, hey, he's done as much as Dak has in this league. Let's face it.
Yeah.
For a shitty organization too in Cincinnati, for him to win 9 games.
They don't have an indoor facility. And they are in Cincinnati, Ohio.
It gets cold
in the
there.
fall/winter. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh man, yeah, that franchise has been a joke forever,
Dumpster fire
for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was a good. I think it's actually a pretty good move by Dallas. To give yourself some protection there. But yeah, I hope they sign Dak to a huge contract for a long time because. I think he's okay. I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's a Super Bowl quarterback unless he has everything around him. So yeah, give him that big money, Jerry. I'd love to see that.
I'm just interested to see without Jason Garrett how everything runs there, because obviously he's been there for so long. Pretty much, I mean, since I've been a big football fan, I know Jason Garrett has been the face of the Cowboys for me as a football fan, just because the majority of my big football fan years have been with Jason Garrett as the Cowboys coach. So it'll be really interesting for me to see a guy, especially a guy who seems completely opposite of Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy, very emotional, very outspoken. It'll be interesting to see him take over and see what he can do with it seems like a ton of weapons now that they have CD Lamb, Amari Cooper. Obviously, you got Zeke, that offensive line, and potentially a very good quarterback in Dak Prescott. It'll be awesome to see what they can do. I hope they suck, obviously, but they will be a team to watch as they are every year because they're America's team and they're on TV every single week, even if they suck.
Yeah. Mike McCarthy does not have Aaron Rodgers in his prime. Last time I checked, playing for him, and he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers from 3 years ago playing.
That is a good
him.
point. That is a good point. But also
Okay.
you have to consider, apparently the year that they had that terrible record, apparently Aaron Rodgers was pretty much just calling plays for himself. So it seems like it might have been Aaron's fault that offense failed, but it's hard to tell. Also, it seems like maybe having a face in there that can take control, a guy that has respect, because especially at the end there, it was very apparent that Jason Garrett didn't have respect from the organization or the players. So a guy like Mike McCarthy, who will go in there and demand respect, Pittsburgh guy, he's a tough guy, emotional guy. It seems like he'll be able to connect with players a lot better and also command respect. Much, be kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of a presence in the locker room more so than Jason Garrett was.
Right.
Seemed like Jason Garrett was just floating around, just there for the ride. Also, NFL schedule is coming out today. We always record this at the wrong time because the big news of the week comes out right after we record the podcast. There have obviously been every single year there your insiders, fans with sources that are predicting the schedule for their team. I looked this morning, saw a few different things for the Seahawks schedule. Apparently, the first 4 games will be non-conference, and the rumor that I've seen the most is the Seahawks are going to start playing against Buffalo Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern in Buffalo, I believe was what I saw. So the first 4 games being non-conference. Do you know why? Do you know what the reason is for them doing that? Is there, I guess, is it like why would they start non-conference if they don't know if they can play a full season?
Well, that's exactly it. So you can wipe those games out if you have to play a 12-game season and then not have it. Then what you don't want to do is end up in a situation where, well, the Seahawks played the 49ers twice, but only the Rams once, and blah, blah, and the uneven number of conference games. So when you get into the standings, the last thing that counts with tiebreakers and all that, it's not the last thing, but down the path is non-conference games.
Yeah.
So so you want to make sure you get your conference games and especially your division games in. So I bet you'll see those division games push back even further. Like it's going to be very backloaded with the for the Seahawks with the Rams and the 49ers and the Cardinals.
I see. So yeah, what you're saying is the schedule, they're putting these non-conference games in first because they're not sure if they'll be able to play them.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's easy to wipe it out.
Makes sense.
Because we were talking the other day, like, boy, you're kind of making a big move by coming out with the schedule because the one thing that you don't want to do is say, hey, here's our schedule, we're gonna play, and then say, never mind, yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah.
So I think my guess is they're gonna come out and say, hey, I think they're gonna come out and flat out say, we have multiple plans here. This is our optimistic plan. But yeah, if we have to wipe out games, then it's gonna be these non-conference games. So you're gonna see the Seahawks play. Sounds like at Buffalo, which if you have to fucking go to Buffalo, let's do that in September.
Yeah.
So that's you don't want to be
Seriously.
going there in December. So that's good. And then so I think we'll end up playing Buffalo. You'll see the Jets. You'll see the Patriots with Jared Stidham at the helm. And who else? I'm missing somebody. Who else is in that division?
Dolphins.
Oh yeah, Dolphins. Sorry, Geesh. It's just so weird because like all the other teams are up in the Northeast, and then you got the
Makes
Dolphins.
no sense.
It's
yeah.
like must be a vacation for them to go down there.
Seriously.
But yeah, so those will be our first four opponents, and here's the thing about the schedule coming out. Like it's a big deal, and I know people post about it and analyze it, but it really doesn't matter. We already know who the opponents are.
Yeah.
Because it's a rotating, schedule based on the standings, and each division plays the same division. So in the NFC West, for example, all the NFC West teams are going to play the AFC East this year.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I have
You
not
may not
tapped
play
in.
the same teams though.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a weird. I don't know the exact formula. So, so they try to balance it out that way to some degree. But yeah, so we already know who they're playing. That's been known for a long time now, since the end of last season, basically. So now it's just a matter of what date did they play, what time do they play, when's the bye week?
Yeah, that's a big one. When's the bye
And
week?
are there Thursday night? Is there a Thursday night game? So we can do our stupid ass color rush game. Wear our freaking lime green jerseys again.
Listen, man, if they take away this one helmet rule, and I hope we can move into throwback Thursday.
Please give me throwbacks.
Okay, hold on. This is just like I'm cranking out thoughts live on the podcast right now. So sorry to interrupt you, but think about this. So we were talking about how if the NFL removes the one helmet rule, what you would like to see was the only other helmet you could use would be a throwback helmet.
Right.
Get rid of color rush, throwback Thursday. Such an easy move for the NFL. Yeah. Thursday night games, you go throwback jerseys. And not only does that get rid of the stupid-ass one helmet rule, that still gives Roger Goodell his unnecessary control of uniforms.
Yeah.
Where you can say not only does it have to be throwback, but it has to be on Thursday too.
Yeah.
You could even...
Fine.
Here's all this control. Just let us wear our throwback uniforms, please. There was an edit I saw on Twitter of, I think, Quandre Diggs in a throwback Seahawks uniform, and I was like, man, it looks so nice.
Oh, I know.
It'd be so awesome.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, Roger Goodell's not going to open, communist Soviet Union didn't just suddenly open up all at once, right?
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a little slow crack that's still opening.
Yeah.
That's going to be the NFL probably. So if that's the crack that starts,
throwback Thursday
dictatorship from letting us, see throwback uniforms, I'm all for it.
It's right in his face. It's sitting right there. The Goodell's not smart enough though. That's the thing. He's too stupid to consider that, or
it's too much about him. That's the problem.
man, I wish Adam Silver would just run the NFL too. I love Adam Silver.
All these guys are out of touch, but Adam Silver seems to be the most in touch with the players and also the fans.
He's the reason.
Give me back my fucking Sonics, though. I still hate you until you do that.
Okay,
that being said,
I genuinely am getting a feeling from the internet that it seems like a Sonics return might actually be more likely because of this whole thing. And also, I don't know if you've ever watched Game of Zones, Bleacher Report's Game of Zones. It's like a Game of Thrones spoof with NBA players, and it's animated and they have like accents and stuff. It's pretty funny. And the episode that came out this morning was the players voting for a kind of a new dream team, because like the old dream team have essentially come back from the dead in their primes to defeat the current NBA, and they were deciding where to fight, and Adam Silver was announcing it. He was like, "We will go to a market that I am interested in testing." And then it showed like the Sasquatch mascot getting all happy, and it was like, "We will be riding to Seattle." So, man, I don't know. It's just like a dumb sketch. But, by the way, check that out on Twitter, Game of Zones. It's pretty much the only good thing that Bleacher Report does nowadays. So, go ahead and check that out. It's pretty funny. Like, 8-minute video or something. And they don't mention Seattle till the last 3 seconds. Wow. But they have really good animation and everything. But anyway, that total sidetrack. I really do think this Sonic's comeback is likely right now. Maybe not this year, but I think owners are really starting to get pushed towards it when they're losing all this revenue.
I hope so. Yeah, they could they could get themselves a couple billion right now.
For sure,
at least
yeah.
a billion anyway.
Yeah. And sorry, back to, do you have anything else on the schedule?
Oh, just, I know that a lot of people look at it, and they're I always hear people talk about when the bye week is, and oh my God, it's in week 3. Like, we need it later when our players are hurt and need the rest, and it doesn't matter. Like, it could be at a good time or a bad time. You don't know when your players get injured.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you have no idea when your players are going to get injured.
When your team is hot, when you're winning multiple games.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. So no, it doesn't matter when the bye week is. It doesn't really matter too much when you play teams. Some people get mad about 10 a.m. starts on the East Coast, but the Seahawks have been. That used to be an issue. Seahawks used to lose those all the time, but under Pete Carroll, I don't know what he's doing differently, but they are very competitive in those games. They have a good record in those games. And we used to get screwed on Monday Night Football. Oh my God, we never get Monday Night Football, but we're getting those. I would say a fair amount. So
last year we had so many primetime games. One of them got what's it called, flexed out. But we had so many primetime games on the schedule last year.
Yeah. So, I don't worry too much about the schedule. So I don't care that we don't know what it is when we're doing this podcast, because it doesn't. What are we going to do? Okay, week 1 at Buffalo. Is that a win or a loss? Are we going to do? I've heard those shows. I'm like, oh my God, so boring.
It is, yeah. It's really boring to make.
Look, we went through it all, and I have them at 16-0, and you have them at 15-1. We'll see. Like, come on.
And then it
never goes. Teams rise and fall.
Yeah.
You never know what those games, who's hurt, who's playing.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what those games, what those are going to look
especially
like.
Out of the division. Within the division, I'd say it's harder to even predict within the division, because it's so competitive pretty much every time. Within the division, you're like, well, chances are we're gonna tie one of them. Probably we're gonna lose one in heartbreaking fashion, win a game we weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just dumb to. Like every year I have the Seahawks at 14-2 whenever I look at the schedule.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
So it's just dumb.
Yeah.
So what time are we at when I'm finding this tweet? Let's see. Paul Feinbaum, Mr. SEC himself.
42 minutes.
42? Okay, this should round us out pretty well then. So Power 5 leaving the NCAA potentially. When I say potentially, this is just kind of rumors. Paul Feinbaum tweeted, Minnesota Board of Regents member Michael Sue says he could see Power 5 conferences break away from the NCAA in the next couple years. Even if the Power 5 remains with the NCAA after the pandemic, quote, that could only be short term. So, Michael Sue saying the Power 5 remaining with the NCAA could only be short term. It sounds like, I don't know why a Board of Regents guy would have this information, but it seems like he's making it seem like Power 5 is itching to get out of the NCAA. I don't even know how they could do that.
Well, first of all, I'm Paul Feinbaum, and here, let me get my ears on.
God, Jesus. Okay. Come on, man.
First of all, Alabama is the only good team in the nation. And then the SEC could be in its own division. And then everybody else should just cancel their football programs right now.
I heard Feinbaum's pushing for the SEC to be in the NFL.
But on a serious note, so we've talked about, when you bring games back, do you play with fans or without fans?
Yeah.
So the Power 5 has the TV deals in place that it makes sense you could play without fans, and do okay. But some of the other conferences, some of the other programs don't have that big TV money, so now you're having to still pay for travel and all the other things that you have to pay for to put a game on. And you're not getting the gate money and the and the food money.
Yeah.
So you're losing millions of dollars each game not having those things. So Power 5 can afford that because they have the big TV money. The other ones not so much. I sure would hate to see it on a long-term basis. Part of it, like, it kind of makes sense. I get it, but man, you lose the Boise States of the world.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a bunch of teams like that, right? And basketball, Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Teams like that fall off the face of the earth because they are no longer irrelevant.
Yeah.
The day that happens, they are irrelevant.
100%.
There's no chance of them ever rising up to do anything whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I can understand how they would do that for football maybe this year. And you may see with college football, you may see conference-only games. So you're essentially doing that anyway, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If they do that, I sure hope they don't do it forever. Even though I get, like, in some parts it makes sense. Like, just put your true upper-level teams all in one space. But man, I don't know. You would lose a lot of really cool games and a lot of programs that rise up under great coaches and things like that. I'd hate to see that, but who knows? Who knows what'll happen?
I also saw a thing that apparently the Big 12 said that they would like to play football even if school couldn't happen. Also, something to talk about is with college, it's a lot different than a professional sports league because even if school doesn't happen, these are still college kids. And, if they're living on campus, I don't know, obviously every school is probably going to look a little different, but say classes are in session or there are some kids still living on campus, you're putting all these kids together and then flying them places with staff and playing them against other schools. It seems like some bad things could happen pretty quickly, especially when you're having to account for a bunch of college kids.
Right.
They're going to break the rules, and one of them's going to catch COVID, then the whole team will. And then when they play a road game, Penn State, one guy gets it, and then they pass it to Trevor Lawrence on Clemson, and then the entire Clemson, you know what I mean? It could go down this long, slippery slope.
You would almost have to keep them isolated in a dorm and have like a police state for the football team.
Yeah.
Like you can't ever leave.
Yeah.
You'd almost have to lock it all down like that. It would be tough. It's funny, we have as sports fans, we have a warped perspective of our favorite college teams. Like I would guess, like, people who call themselves Husky fans, I'll use them as an example for some odd reason. But I think pretty much anybody could name. Well, maybe not the new football coach. Maybe they can't name the football coach right now.
True,
but
yeah.
Most could say Jimmy Lake is the football coach. If you said who's the athletic director, I would bet that, well over half, probably 2/3 could say that Jen Cohen is the athletic director. But if you ask them who the president is,
I don't know.
Crickets, right?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
I know it, but I can't think of the name right now. But
Right.
So we have a warped perspective. If you are the president of a university, you're worried, even though football is important, you're worried about a much larger thing than that.
Yeah.
So those presidents are pretty much going to say, if our students aren't in class, then our football team is not getting together and playing football.
And that would be a reasonable perspective to me. I think that I wouldn't necessarily agree. I would hope that they could find a way to keep football going, but I think that's a very reasonable perspective.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh. Yeah, if school's not going, why should the football team at the school be going? I could understand why presidents would think that, and they don't want to take risks.
Yeah, and they do. A lot of people get mad sometimes at conference commissioners, including, is it Larry Scott?
I don't know.
The Pac-12. Everybody shits on him, and I do too.
Yeah.
Because they're not on DirecTV and blah, blah, blah. There's a long list of things people hate about Larry Scott. But Larry Scott part of what he does is listen to the university presidents, and they don't always have the same. I mean, they're ultimately the ones that make the decisions. So, they are the ones, and they're not always super educated on what really matters for sports. So they got other shit to worry about.
Yeah.
Like academics, which, we pretend is the most important thing at a university. So, yeah. So anyway, I think the NFL will really get going. I mean, maybe they'll miss a couple of those non-conference games, but I'm a little bit more concerned about college football getting going because of the whole, education aspect of it.
Yeah, so I saw something, I believe, that said the Big 12 commissioner would want sports to happen even if school couldn't, but then the Big 10 commissioner said otherwise, that they wouldn't want football to go if sports were to. And then I'm pretty sure James Franklin, coach at Penn State, I'm pretty sure he said something like, we would want the schools that can play to play, and then the schools that can't play.
Can't do that.
I don't know. I don't understand how you can make that work. Obviously, James Franklin, just stick to coaching your team.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's coming. I don't know why anyone is really coming out and saying anything right now, especially if they're not a scientist or a leader of an organization. Also, from Paul Feinbaum, right after the tweet about the NCAA breaking away, he said, Michael Sue of University of Minnesota said, the odds are we are not going to be back in school in the fall in person. That may mean that sports are not going to be happening, at least in the beginning. So that's a Big Ten. That's one of the Big Ten teams saying probably they wouldn't be playing if school's not in session. This seems all really complicated, and this also points to maybe it being a good idea that Power 5 conferences leave, because then they could all handle this together.
Right.
Again, SDSU would fall off the map too. Like, it would suck for a lot of schools. I think SDSU should be. I think SDSU and Boise State should be in probably the Pac-12. 14 teams might be too many in a conference, but I think they should join the Pac-12.
You would, I think, yeah. If this Power 5 thing happened, you would see some schools probably. Boise State would probably find a home somewhere.
Yeah.
But what you would lose is the ability for a Boise State to come up later, right?
For sure.
So whoever the next Boise State is, they're not going to get that opportunity because they're never going to. They're going to be just held down forever. They're going to, Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
They have a great football program. They've won national titles and been in national title games. Nobody gives a fuck.
No.
Unless you're an Eagle.
Yeah.
Go Eags. Nobody cares. Like, on a nationwide basis, nobody cares about the Eagles because they're in a different division. So that's what would happen. It would be like that.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's obviously a very complicated subject that it's very hard to kind of predict the benefits and, I guess, what would go wrong with that. It's something that I think in general would just be kind of exciting to see. But again, the negatives may very well outweigh the positives there.
Possibly.
And then also, obviously, that kind of opens up the discussion of will teams probably won't have to follow Title IX anymore, which is a good. Title IX is a good rule. It is. But at the same time, Joe Burrow made LSU millions of dollars, so Mr. Rower guy could row. So, you know what I mean? Like, so you can look at it a couple different ways. Title IX is a good thing. So all these athletes get opportunities.
Yeah.
And
they should. The funny thing about Title IX is, what makes it tough is football, because you have 85 scholarships, right? And no other team requires such a large number of players in men or women's sports. So you end up with some weird shit like women's rowing. So women's rowing is a scholarship sport. Men's rowing is not.
So it's like, it's fair, but also it depends on how you spin it. Yeah. It depends on how you slice the pie.
So there was when I covered, high school sports around this area, and this was a long time ago, but there was a female basketball player at a local, not right here in Everett, but in a Snohomish County school. a good basketball player, but she wasn't a college basketball player.
Yeah.
Or not a major college, but she was like a 6 foot center, kind of a burly girl,
Mm-hmm.
and she got a rowing scholarship, and she'd never been on a fucking boat. But it was because she sat down at a machine, and they're like, "Wow, this girl is, she's strong.
Mm-hmm.
She's the size." So she gets a rowing scholarship, and she'd never been in an actual boat before. But that's, so that's the kind of the downside. But I totally get, like, you definitely need regulations in place to make sure that women get opportunities to play sports, because the only sports that really make money are football, college football. So a lot of college basketball makes money, not all, but some of them do. And then everything else loses money and is paid for by football and mostly by men's basketball as well. So you need something in place, but it is interesting how it all works. And, what would the Power 5 leave in the NCAA? How would that work? They're still federally funded at institutions, though, so they may still fall under that Title IX rule.
Yeah, true. So right here I have the profit/loss chart for LSU sports. LSU football made $56 million. Men's basketball made 1.6, and then baseball actually made $500,000, but that's not.
It doesn't
everywhere.
happen at most schools.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure like wrestling at Iowa makes a bunch of money, but that's like the only wrestling program in the nation that does. So baseball, it's abnormal for them to make money, but football makes 57 mil, and all other sports incur 23 million in losses.
Right.
And you can make the argument that Joe Burrow brought $1 million plus to that organization. Like he is directly responsible for over $1 million of revenue coming in because of jerseys and merch and how how good they were on TV. Anyway, so it's like yes, it's fair that you have more women's scholarships at other sports because the total scholarships is the same, but at the same time, it's not fair to Joe Burrow that he made $1 million so someone else can suit up. You know what I mean? So there's a couple different ways to look at it. Either way, it seems like football should just have kind of it should just be on its own. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It seems like what a good idea would be to me would be football is essentially its own entity, and it's not even considered into Title IX or anything, and also it's not considered an amateur sport so that they can get paid, because I'm just spitballing here. All these thoughts are coming to me live, so they might be terrible ideas. I might listen to this back and be like, what were you thinking? But football is just such a different animal from all the other sports. I don't know how you can group it in with the gymnastics team. It's just not the same.
Yeah, I tell you, these times, I'm not just talking about pandemic times, but in this century, this millennium, if you didn't have college football, like, you would start to see every college sport die, because the universities would be like, we can't pay for this shit.
So that's what I'm saying. If the Power 5 conferences move out and they don't have to worry about Title IX, will there be any women's sports?
I don't know.
Like will all these smaller sports that are losing $1 to $4 million according to this LSU chart, anywhere from, I guess, it looks like beach volleyball has negative 700,000, which is the least loss, and then the biggest loss is women's basketball at 4 million. So would schools, if they can avoid that Title IX rule somehow, how are they incentivized to even keep around any of these sports? Women's basketball, the next highest losing is for them is women's and men's track and field are the second biggest loss. Gymnastics, men's golf is a big loss. So it's like, I don't know. It just seems.
I still think it's important. I still think that sports are important.
Yeah.
I think that having people who have gone through that sort of commitment to something, that sort of, having to have that work ethic, I think it transitions into success outside. I still believe that. So I sure would hate to see that stuff go away. But if you're looking at it mathematically, especially short term, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Cut them all.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
So they lost. So in total, LSU profited $33 million from sports. It seems to me like, where is that $33 million in profit going?
And that's I think that's a little bit. Well, first of all, the SEC is gonna look like that in a lot of places.
Yeah.
A lot of schools are. The UW usually makes money. They've had some when their football team was down though. They were losing money.
That makes sense. Yeah.
A lot of schools are like Wazoo. Generally they lose money. A lot of schools lose money. So the SEC is a little bit of an outlier because their football programs make so much money because they have a bigger TV deal and they sell out. They have 100,000 fans, some of those schools at each game. So LSU is, that's going to be an extreme number, but a consistent factor is, the football programs bring in all the money.
Yeah.
And everybody else eats it. That's a common theme in any sport. So, a school like LSU, they're gonna put that money into their reserves, and they're usually gonna, they're gonna keep, paying coaches more, building a cooler locker room, redoing the stadium. Like they're gonna keep doing all that stuff, and and just getting bigger and bigger essentially is what they're gonna do.
I think, I don't know what the path to this would be, but when the college football coach is the highest paid public official, like public employee in every single state, it seems to be apparent that they make a lot of money that maybe some of the players should be seeing, at least in my eyes. It's tough. It's like all of this is such, I don't even really have a strong opinion on all of this. I'm just kind of throwing out ideas. It's very hard for me to decide what the right decision is, because I think it's super important for all these people to have these opportunities to play sports, because, it's kids' dreams to play like Division I sports. It's not even necessarily everyone's dream to like go pro. Obviously, that is kind of, that's, I guess, like the ultimate top goal, but like playing Division I athletics and getting a scholarship for it is like such a sought after thing that it's just like, if you can provide those opportunities, I think it's really important, and taking away those opportunities would be really devastating for a lot of people. Not just because they want to play sports in college, but also genuinely kids that need scholarships, and that's how they can pay for their school. Is some of the kids, if they don't get a scholarship for sports, they can't pay to go to one of these big universities, So right. I think it's really important, but then at the same time, how much money would Joe Burrow have made last year if he was in the NFL,
Oh, yeah, I know.
So it's kind of tough. I guess what time are we at?
Well, we got to be getting up there. Just over an hour.
All right. I guess we'll discuss this right now. So should we run through our NBA playoff picks? I have this just kind of loaded up, but I think this could be a good place to wrap up too. We could save that for another time.
Are the Sonics going to be in the playoffs?
No.
Then I don't give a shit.
Okay, well, on that note, follow me on Twitter at Mason Charles Coe. You're at AaronCoe29 on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Buy the book on Amazon and Lulu. If you're still watching or listening, thank you very much. Don't really know why you're here still.
Hi, Alec.
Yeah, hi, Alec. I think you're literally the only one. So yeah, shout out to you. We had one person text he called. I think he actually woke me up in the morning because he was working, and it was like I'd stayed up really late the night before. It was like 9:00 and I hadn't woke up yet. I wake up to a call from Alec. I'm like, yo, what's up? He just goes, Gulf of Mexico, bitch, and then hung up. So that was pretty awesome.
This week's keyword is Peyton Bear.
Peyton Bear. Okay, Alec go ahead and give me a call and just say Peyton Bear and hang up if you made it this far. Shout out to anyone that may be listening way down the road in the future. Maybe it's 2022 and now this has like 1,000 views. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be crazy.
Anyway, check us out on social media. Stay on the lookout for more episodes in the future. Go ahead and check out Yukawa Teriyaki and Mill Creek Sports Shop. Once again, shout out to them. Good businesses, good people. Stay the fuck away from everybody. Wear a fucking mask. Follow the fucking rules. Other than that,
goddamn government's trying to keep... No, stop. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, side rant. Yes, follow the damn rules. Let's get through this shit so we can watch an actual fucking game at some point, please.
Other than the Korean baseball organization. By the way, go Doosan Bears. Don't know anything about any of the teams, but the Doosan Bears, they are my team.
All right.
I'm claiming the Doosan Bears.
All right.
Go Doosan Bears. All right. See you guys.
Da Bears.
Da Bears. Peace out. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye. Thank you.